Hello, the time has arrived for my January reading wrap-up. So I read 7 books this month, or maybe 6. 6 because I just finished Onyx Storm. 6 books, but I'm going to talk about Onyx Storm because I don't care. I need to talk about it. I think I'm going to do a spoilery, like my thoughts, my theories for the next books and all that. We are going to go ahead and get started with what I read in the month of January. So, let me pull up my Goodreads. Does anyone else hate how Goodreads now has their reading challenge? Because I'm not a fan. However it was when they updated it, I don't like it. Anyway, the first book I read was called Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. I think that it's so interesting to learn about how the way people grow up affect who they become and the type of parents that they end up being. And I found that read to be incredibly interesting. I also listened to it, so it was a lot easier to kind of get through. A lot of nonfiction I have to listen to, not because I don't enjoy it or can't get into it, but because my brain starts to wander when I'm reading something that I have to actually ingest instead of, I mean, not that I don't ingest fiction books, but fiction books, you know, you can kind of like go. And nonfiction, I feel like you have to really grasp onto almost each and everything. So I listened to that and it was a lot easier. I did not rate it because it is nonfiction. And I just personally don't think that rating a piece of nonfiction, I mean, I can talk about how it's written, how the information is presented, but I don't really believe in rating it because it's information. Next, I read Love Light Farms and In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. I also listened to both of these while I was cleaning my room. I think you'll see in my reading slump. No. Clean and yap. When I was cleaning, that's what I was listening to. I listened to each of them in a day when we were snowed in. Okay, I rated Love Light Farms 4 stars. We have Stella and she wants Evelyn St. James to come and basically she's like an influencer and wants her to feature the farm because if they win this contest they get a bunch of money, and most of the people in the farm in the town don't know it, but Stella is really struggling with financials. And so she puts in her application that her and her boyfriend run the farm. I don't remember if she says boyfriend or husband, but her and her partner run the farm, but she doesn't have a partner. So she recruits Luca, her best friend, to fake date her and try to win this contest. And so you get this kind of friends to lovers type of fake dating. And there's a lot of tension because it's a small town. All the people know them. All the people know that they weren't together. So trying to, you know, check all your boxes and cover all your bases, and the stress of that and the stress of the secret maybe getting out. But then you also get to see Stella and Luca really connect on a level other than friendship. And you kind of learn more about their past and their experiences with each other and with others. And I just really loved it. I liked the kind of found family of everyone on the farm, and also the fact that not everything has to be cozy, but when I was snowed in and having to clean, I really liked that it was cozy and it had holiday magic surrounding it, which really I think kept me listening to it. Also banter, and especially between like the friends and the other people in the town that are kind of seeing all of this play out when they've known both Stella and Luca for years. It just felt like Hallmark. It had that amount of cheesiness that you kind of want for the holidays. Like I said, Hallmark in book form, but I was able to get through it easily. I don't know if that's just because I was listening to it, but I was giggling at little parts. Just the things that they would say to each other and the things that the townspeople would say, and I really liked that. So then I moved on to In the Weeds, which is Evelyn and Beckett. Evelyn, or Evie, St. James, met Beckett at a conference, I think, and they had a one-night stand. And if you read back in Love Light Farms, they actually bump into each other when Evelyn comes to Love Light Farms for the contest. And that was the whole thing with Stella and Luca, but Beckett works on the farm as well. And so now you see that Evelyn is so unhappy because you get into the sort of that she didn't plan initially on having this career path exactly, and so she needs some peace and she needs to kind of find herself and be happy again. So she returns to Love Light Farms, and obviously Beckett's there. So you get to see the two of them where they were like enemies, like they didn't get along at all in Love Light Farms because of their grudges from their past interaction. I knew that I would like Evelyn's story based on the way that Love Light Farms ended and kind of her character that's shown in that. And I love Beckett. I loved Beckett in Love Light Farms, and I love Beckett in The Weeds, especially with the kittens and Beckett with animals. He's just a big softie, like a giant teddy bear. And like I said, it was cozy, it was adorable. It also felt like Hallmark, although it was less holiday centered than Love Light Farms. It still takes place at Love Light Farms for the most part, but you get more of an in-between where it's not peak Christmas time or anything like that, and I really enjoyed that. But it was still cozy. It still kind of felt like a holiday read, even though you wouldn't have to read it during any type of season if you didn't want to. Next up, I read The House of My Mother by Sherry Frankie. I also did not rate this one because it's nonfiction. And I listened to this book. I got it through Book of the Month, but I got an audiobook, which is what I've been doing for Book of the Month because I have a whole cart full of Book of the Months that I need to finish. So unless something really, really catches my eye, then I've been getting an audiobook. That sounds interesting to me. For this one, the audiobook was narrated by Sherry herself, and it was really nice to hear, you know, her story, but also be able to pick up the emotions she felt behind those events when she's narrating it herself. It gets the message out clearly, and you don't have to assume if this is supposed to be said this way or taken this way. You're hearing it straight from Sherry herself, so it was almost like I was listening to like a YouTube video or something that I would be watching or have on while I was doing things anyway. And it's absolutely horrifying, the different experiences that she had, but I'm so glad that she finally came out and shared her story and, you know, put that out there to help other people who may be going through the same things and may have suffered from similar situations, even if it's not the family situation, if it's the men's situation, or it's the situation with having children in the spotlight or being in any type of spotlight. I think that she just did a beautiful job at getting all of that out and getting us to understand her point of view and what her and her siblings went through. Also, hearing her struggle with knowing that she needs to get away, but also worrying about her siblings was honestly heartbreaking. But overall, I really loved reading about her story, and I'm just so glad that she's out and she is healing and able to, you know, share with others what she experienced. Next up, I read A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas, and I rated this, I think, either 3.75 or 4. Don't really remember. I also don't remember a ton about this, but I had meant to read it last year, but by the time I had gotten through ACOWAR, it was getting warm out and I didn't want to read Frost and Starlight. I am a mood reader. There was no way that it was going to be warm and nice out and I was going to be reading about the holiday special, but I did enjoy it. I know I was a little slow getting into it initially, but then I ended up getting more into it, and I just thought that it was adorable to see how Feyre and Rhys went through. But I also will say that I did not really rock with the way Nesta was being treated. I think that they're completely ignoring the fact that she went through so much, that she also is traumatized and maybe struggling on her own. And I get that Rhys is so worried about Feyre because that's his mate, but he was being, pardon my French, a dickhead. And I just don't like that. So I am excited. I'm a little bit into Silver Flames. I'm excited to get Nesta's part of the story, and I know that a lot of my friends love, most of them love Silver Flames and love Nesta. And I just, initially when I was reading the first couple of books, I was like, oh, Nesta's like, whatever. But then I'm like, wait, no, she went through all this too. And Feyre is not, I love Feyre, don't get me wrong, but she's not always a reliable narrator. You're only getting her point of view and Rhys's point of view, and Rhys really just cares mostly about Feyre, you know. And I just don't think that the way that Nesta was being treated is okay. Like, yes, I get she's doing these things, she's acting out, but she needs help. And I will die on this hill. That Nessa did not deserve to be treated like that, and then Feyre and Rhys were being crappy. Now, I'm excited though, and I'm excited for Nessa and Cassian because I've heard some things. So I am excited, but overall it was an easy read. I enjoyed it, it was short, and I'm excited to get into Silver Flames. After that, I read Nuclear War by Annie Jacobsen. This is another book that did I read it? Okay, it's not nonfiction, it's a scenario. It's kind of like a social science study, but I did rate it 4 stars. Let me see what I said about this. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know why I don't put my stuff in my Goodreads reviews. I put it on my freaking Instagram story instead. But we're gonna go through and find it in my little book story. Forgot how horrifying this is. It's so easy to study and discuss in school and only see statistics, but Annie Jacobsen does a fantastic job at describing the gruesome details of the effects of an attack, as well as the urgency and confusion for world leaders in their responses and the future, or lack thereof, of the world. I'm gonna think about this for the next 6 months again. Okay, bye, read this please. So, Annie Jacobsen explores the implications of a nuclear attack on the continental US, and she goes through many different situations where there are maybe miscommunications or misfires even, and how things go through the chain of command. Basically the immediate aftermath of a strike, and she goes minute by minute, and when I tell you, you will be completely hooked with going in these different locations with these different people in power and military and civilian sides, and how these people are forced to make these decisions at such a split second, and how so many lives are in their hands. And I thought that that was just incredibly interesting, and I loved it. So I very much enjoyed that, and I would recommend that to anyone who wants to read, because especially with how the world's going right now, fears surrounding nuclear weapons and their usage are spreading again, worse than they were previously. So I think this is just a really good read of truly understanding, and she's giving examples of like, okay, if people are in this area and there's a strike, these people will be killed instantly, these people will need to be transported to emergency burn units immediately, but the burn units are burnt down. And it's honestly terrifying, and it kind of makes you feel a little bit helpless. But I still think that it's incredibly important to remember how horrible nuclear weapons are and what the actual effects would be. Not just, we're gonna do a limited strike on so-and-so and it's fine. No, these are people's lives, and I think it's really important to remember that. So, those are the books I read in January, and I'm probably gonna try to do another one in February because my Shayla. I'm still upset. I'm upset. But thank you so much for watching. I'm hoping to get a good amount of reading in this coming month. It's already February. It's February 3rd, sorry. But I also kind of feel that I'm in a reading slump because of Onyx Storm. I just want to read it again, and I just want to stay in it, and I'm really struggling. But I know that it's not a good idea mentally for me to read it again, so I'm like, ugh. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.